right, welcome into Illini Drive. I am Alec Busse. We are back to just a two-person show. Gabby has another project. I think it's for Jur 215. I've heard that class is quite project-heavy, and when you get behind, it's a little bit difficult. So we're giving her a night off. Again, she's slacking lately.
You can't get behind in 215. You can't really get behind in many journalism classes, though. But if everyone does, but if you stay like on course, though, they're all relatively easy, I would say.
The worst part is just like going out and like doing extra stories for a journalism class. Like, my motivation is just zero to do that.
Yeah, and it's tough because you're a student journalist, so people are like, "Oh, you're a student. Why would I want to talk to you in the first place?" And it makes everything so much harder. But
because they know your story's not being published, too.
But we gotta do them anyway because our grades rely on it for some reason. But
I'll also say this. I feel like they really do help me more because I might put more effort into them because they are being graded.
True, maybe.
But I also feel like sometimes the professors are easier graders on them than they probably should be.
Also,
and I don't really benefit that much from their grading or critiques unless my writing is really just that much better than what I really think.
It's also tough, too, because you're just not, like, passionate about a lot of the topics that you write about. And that always makes it, like, that's where the procrastination leads into. And everyone can relate to procrastination.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so we got a little bit of a different show than we planned for with Gabby being gone. We were going to talk women's basketball and volleyball, but we're not going to do that now. We're going to talk Maryland. We're going to keep the Maryland prep in, so you guys are fully aware of what the Maryland Terrapins will bring to Illinois on Saturday. We're then going to do some Big Ten basketball power rankings after the ACC Big Ten Challenge, which the Big Ten won for the first time since 2015.
Dominated it for the most part.
They should have won it before last night if Illinois would have handled their business against Miami, but they didn't. And then we're going to do our NFL picks, which we always look forward to. So, Eric, let's get it started. What are you looking for going into this Maryland game? Obviously, Maryland's 9-0, first time since I think the early 90s, ranked number 3 in the country. Won a preseason tournament, I guess is what you kind of call them, in Orlando with a win over Marquette and Marcus Howard, which is always impressive in my eyes, even though Marquette isn't as good as they were last year. And they beat Notre Dame pretty handily in the ACC Big Ten Challenge at home. So what are you looking for, and what concerns do you have going into this game?
Well, first and foremost, anytime you go on the road, you have to take care of the ball. If you're turning the ball over like Illinois did last night, then you're going to face an even larger deficit than they did against Miami in that first half. So they have to take care of the ball, and that's something they haven't really been doing very well against top competition this year. Arizona game, they played high level basketball in the first half, and then they started turning it over in the second half, and it became a blowout by the end of it, just because Illinois started turning the ball over. Illinois got blown out in the first half against Miami because they had several turnovers within the first 5 minutes of the game. So Illinois, when they go on the road, if they want to stay in this game and remain competitive throughout the entire time, they have to take care of the ball. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that just because of the way they've been playing of late. But if Illinois has any chance in this game, they have to limit their turnovers. I feel like they can't have more than 10 to 12-ish turnovers throughout the entire game. And secondly, I need to see more offensive rhythm. I mean, last game in the first half, it just became so stagnant, especially when they were trying to run the spread. Guys were not getting open. Guys weren't looking at Kofi or Georgie in the post at all. Guards out on the wing became stagnant. I think Illinois has to limit it down to a lot more simpler terms, such as just ball screen actions and stuff like that. I think that would help out a lot more. And then overall, I mean, if you're Illinois, you have to come into this game not thinking you're an underdog. You can't put something. I will credit Illinois, especially under Brad Underwood, the last couple of years, is that they've always seemed to play up to their competition almost. I mean, last year we saw it. I mean, against Michigan State, they played up to their competition and more by beating them. I mean, Maryland last year at MSG, they did the same thing. So I have confidence in this Illinois team that they're going to play a competitive game against Maryland unless they start turning the ball over, and then they're going to get blown out. So I got to see. I mean, you can't come out to a slow start, too. The effort has to be there as soon as you walk out onto the floor Saturday. And if it's not for any point in the game, then this game's not going to be close.
I echo a lot of the things you said, especially the turnovers. That's something that Illinois has obviously struggled with this season. They average 15.9 turnovers a game. That's a lot, especially when you consider
not good at all.
the opponents that they've had. I mean, you look at who they've played this season, power conference-wise. You've played Arizona, and you have played Miami, and that's it. And you had less than 15 against Miami. So Arizona turned you over a lot. I think you were around 20, 22.
Even though they only did have 13 in Miami, they had 10 in the first half,
Correct.
which is just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, they did, and that's a good point to make. But I feel like this team, when they're really locked in on the offensive end, it comes down to controlling the ball and not letting opponents control what they do offensively, if that makes sense. And I know that's kind of like what Brad Underwood always wants to do on the defensive end, at least the last couple of years when he was at Illinois, is control what your opponent is doing when you're on defense. Force them to be uncomfortable, get into passing lanes, make them cut when they don't want to cut, all those different things. When Illinois controls the game offensively, they're able to control it defensively as well. And I think it's going to be really important for them to control the ball, like you said. But another thing that I wrote down for keys for Illinois to win, they've got to make shots. Simply put, just make shots. I mean, Iowa's, and we were on him a little bit on Tuesday night about how he needs to step up, and I think I said be the player who he's supposed to be on Tuesday. It's time for him to really step up, and he's done that in the past against big-time opponents. He did it against Maryland last year. He was huge in the road win against Ohio State last year, and you can't forget about what he did against Michigan State in the end.
He played good against Michigan in that game, too, last year.
You're right, he did. And you look at, he had those 2 chase-on blocks in that game. You saying that reminded me of those.
Yeah.
But you need to get him going specifically and get all of your stars going. That includes Georgie, and I think it really, really includes Trent Frazier and being willing to go to him. And if he gets hot, feed him. Because he is your most prolific offensive player when he is hot, because he has the ability to make shots. He has the ability to get to the basket. He gets fouled. He goes to the free throw line and makes shots. And to me, he's almost like the spark plug of this team. I think Georgie's a guy who brings the energy day in and day out just with his personality. But I think if you get one player on offense going, and you can only pick one to be the spark plug, I think you want it to be Trent Frazier because of the ability to make shots that he has. I mean, he was 4 or 5 against Miami. He's
a microwave. I mean,
he did, and he got. I think if I read this correctly today, I think he only had one opportunity to score against Miami under the 13-minute mark, and it was 2 free throws. Like, how do you only let someone like that score? I mean, I think you said it Tuesday as well. His usage rate is the lowest on the team of any of the starters, and it's not close. And the only people
he's
above
DeMonte and Kipper. Yeah, I was about.
Are DeMonte, Kipper, and
that's it.
Are the only people he's above?
That
That's not okay. And,
no.
And we talked about how important it is for Illinois to make adjustments after Miami, and you don't have very much time to make adjustments. I mean, that game was Monday night, and you've got, I mean, I guess 4 days, but you're traveling Friday.
Yeah, but you've had all week. I mean, that's plenty of time to prep.
It is, but it's hard to completely change what you're doing, I guess, offensively.
No, you can't, completely, over...
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, you say Trent's not getting the usage rate, right? And I agree, and that's very obvious by the numbers that he's getting. I feel like it's hard to say, all right, Trent, we're getting you shots now. Yeah. And you're completely changing what you're doing offensively if he's the guy you want to go through as a guard. But he's got to get going. He's got to be consistent. And he's been consistent over the last couple of games.
I think he's arguably been their most consistent offensive player. Now, I mean...
Outside of Kofi, but you can't
outside of Kofi, but a lot of Kofi's points are through just
other people.
The offense they run.
You can't include Kofi in that because he doesn't make his own shot.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean, Georgie makes his own shot. He can make his own shot. He has the ability to drive to the basket, but I think it comes down to whether or not your stars can step up. And I don't know if they can, but it would be very characteristic of Illinois players to do that and to show up and shock the world again. That's what they do.
I think this will be a big game for Trent just because of I feel like Trent's going to get the draw on Colin, and so I think this has a lot of potential for Trent to have a huge defensive game. They're roughly the same size, I want to say, and this is kind of a revenge game for Trent because if you remember 2 years ago, I want to say it was freshman year when they played Maryland at home and they went to overtime. Colin actually drew the game-winning foul, I guess you could say, on Trent, which led to him scoring.
Trent's bigger. Trent's 6'2", and weighs in at about 170. Cowan's 6 foot and weighs about 180. So I guess
they're about the same.
It kind of cancels each other out. But Trent's taller and probably a little bit longer.
But 2 years ago, Colin drew a late game foul against Trent that decided the game, and now Trent's evolved into this prolific defender, as Brad would describe, and I would probably describe him that way too, at least on ball. And so this is gonna be an interesting matchup between those two because these two have been pitted against each other since Trent's freshman year and Colin 2 years ago. And so this has a lot of the makings, I feel, for a huge Trent Frazier game. And I want to see how other people respond because in the years past, especially last year, when Trent Frazier went off in games last year, Illinois usually lost those games because everyone else was playing so horrible. It required Trent to just carry them on their back. Most notably, I want to say you have the Minnesota game last year at Minnesota. I think he had like 28 points in that game. The Mizzou game was a huge one where he had like 25 in the first half. But
another one that
they were still down. Gonzaga.
Yep. That's the one that I remember.
I kind of gave him a break on that because that was like early season and against Gonzaga. But so just like games like that, I want to see if Trent does have a game where he goes off, like maybe in this New Maryland game. I want to see what that means for the rest of the team in Iowa. Iowa's a guy that's going to be. I mean, when you win these types of games like this on the road against high-level competition, it's usually because your star player rises to the occasion. And Brad Underwood called Iowa his star player after the press conference. He has since the season started. We have to see it on the court because we haven't seen it at all this year.
It's just one of those things that I don't know if I expect it to happen.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to just see a switch flip. And
I do think they could play with any competition in the Big Ten, though. I think they could play a competitive basketball game against anyone in the Big Ten right now.
We'll get to that later.
I think the only thing holding this team back is itself right now, and I think when I say that, I mean that as a huge concern right now because I don't see a lot of the issues. I don't know if a lot of the issues can get corrected quick enough with how tough this early Big Ten conference schedule is.
I just think that this team has the talent and the individual pieces to compete with it.
Yeah.
Honestly, anyone in the country.
Potentially.
I mean, if you're saying that they can compete with anyone in the Big Ten,
I guess that's
that
true,
includes anyone in the country, right? Like
they kind of has to, right?
When you look at who, I mean, the Big Ten has Maryland ranked in the top 5, Michigan ranked in the top 5, Ohio State's going to be ranked in the top 5 after what they did at UNC last night on the road. Like
Purdue's going to get
probably
so
ranked
much,
despite their. Well, they may not be ranked. They're going to get a lot more respect, and we're going to get to that later.
If you kill Virginia, like you're going to get ranked pretty highly. Virginia was number 5, right?
Yeah, but Purdue already has 3 losses.
Yeah.
But so does Michigan State.
Yeah.
I just think that this team needs to just flip the switch, and maybe they just needed a wake-up call. And maybe that wake-up call was the first half against Miami.
Maybe.
And I know that going back earlier into the year, I was the one who, when we were sitting here, had the most concerns about the turnovers, Georgie, the offense not being effective, the defense having its lapses still, and I questioned the coaching, and I still do. A lot of those concerns I still have. And even when they were beating teams by a lot that they should have won, I still had those concerns because they didn't prove it against anyone that mattered.
Yeah.
And that's not to be taking a shot
that entire week
at Lindenwood or
that entire week was like
Hawaii.
A throwaway week.
Yeah, like that's not meant to take a shot at any of those teams, but when you look at who they've played, they're not winning games that people thought that they would compete in. Like I feel like almost maybe that first half of Miami was a wake-up call. They kind of looked like a different team offensively after that. Halftime.
Football has shown us this year that a second half can change an entire season.
And
I don't know.
It's super
early.
Wake-up call. I'm just saying maybe it could be. Maybe that's the turning point that they're going to come out against Maryland, and I'm not saying they win, but maybe they play Maryland within 10 points the whole game.
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. No, it wouldn't shock me either. I completely agree with you. I mean, they beat this Maryland team last year. They did. And, Maryland...
And Maryland has a lot of those pieces back.
Yeah. And Illinois has a lot of their pieces back. So,
Correct.
You look at it, and on paper, it's like you beat this team last year. I know this team has gotten better, but Illinois has also gotten better, too. Debatably, I guess. They're
better on paper.
Better on paper. We're waiting to see it on the court. Illinois has
they're better on the court. They don't beat it. They're not putting up 120 points on any team last year, right?
Maybe. There was some pretty weak competition they played that week stretch. But, like you were saying, like, this Illinois team can compete with this Maryland team. They beat them last year. The same pieces are all there, but one team is taking the next step. Illinois is still we're still waiting to see if Illinois takes that next step like Maryland did so far this season.
I guess just going forward, I mean, you just look at like the matchups. I mean, you said Trent against Cowan. That one's really interesting to me. I'm really intrigued by Kofi against Jalen Smith.
Yeah.
I think that one's really intriguing because.
Do you think he'll be on Jalen Smith?
I guess Smith could play the 4.
Isn't he normally 4? I mean, last year he played 4 because Fernando was the 5.
Yeah, I don't know, but see, like, it's so interesting the matchups to me going into this game. I was thinking that Smith and Kofi would match up together.
Well, Smith plays a lot on the perimeter too, doesn't he?
He does, and that's why I was intrigued by
sure
the starting lineup. I guess, who is their starting 5 guy? Who starts for them at the 5? It's not Ayala, is it? No.
What's his face?
I am blanking
I'll
on
look
this.
it up.
Okay. Either way, the matchups to me are really interesting. You look at like an Eric Ayala. Is that who Io matches up with defensively? Because I think you put Trent on Cowan. All right, well then you're looking at Andres on another really high-level guard because Maryland's guards are good.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a game where Illinois, its guards have to step up and be the guards that we expected them to be going into the season. You expected Io to be a potential first-round draft pick. And where he's projected now is, today I saw 56. And that's probably higher than I would even have him. You need Trent to be the shooter, the defensive player that he has been in the past and the defensive player he's been this year. And you need Andres to just be that bulldog.
Yeah.
Be your leader. Be the junkyard dog. That's what John Gross always said. Be a junkyard dog. Be willing to dive on the floor. Make the tough plays. Make the plays that nobody else wants to make because that's who Andres Feliz is. Georgie, you need to continue to improve offensively, but defensively, sometime you're going to have to turn the corner. Yep. You have such good footwork. Use it defensively. Use your footwork to cut someone off. Use your length to disrupt someone's shot. I'm not saying, Georgie, you need to be a all Big Ten defensive player, but you need to be serviceable defensively. He was awful against Maryland defensively. Yeah. And Kofi, you're huge. You alter shots. Start blocking shots defensively.
Yeah, he has to get his timing down a lot better.
He does, and he got away with it in high school because he was 7 feet and he's 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And he's a freak athlete for someone his size. And you get away with that even on the AAU circuit because he's so much bigger and stronger than everyone. But now he's not getting away with it. Figure out how to get a block. Do it. You're an athlete. We just credited that. Now go get a block, and you've been good offensively. Take advantage of it.
Yeah. I looked it up. It looks like they're kind of rotating whoever that 5 guy is.
Okay.
I think their 5 right now is Makee Mitchell, I want to say.
That sounds right, too.
He's like 6'10", 235, so about Georgie's size. Georgie's
But once again, Georgie has weight on him
Georgie's
massively.
have like 10 pounds on him.
Mitchell's right because I was watching their game against Marquette, and he had a couple really nice
buckets.
He had to dunk. Marquette left him open on the baseline a couple of times, and he was able to get it and get a dunk. He's pretty athletic, actually.
Well, either way, though, Illinois has the size advantage. Like most teams that Illinois plays this year, they're going to have a size advantage on. Even against Michigan, they're going to have a size advantage on because Kofi and Teskey will match up against each other, but who's going to match up on Georgie? Now, on the other end, defensively, that could be a huge problem for Illinois because who's Georgie going to guard, say, against a Michigan? Is he
against
going to
out on the perimeter?
Yeah, is he going to have to guard Livers? Because if he has to guard Livers, then that's going to be a problem.
And that's where it hurts so bad that you have a 6'10" forward playing for you, and there's a 6'8" kid who plays at Ohio State that was your number 1 target last year.
Yeah.
And
that's a perfect matchup.
That is Brad Underwood's guy as a player in terms of his size, his athleticism.
EJ Liddell, yeah.
And I'll be honest, EJ Liddell's like my guy. Like, I love watching EJ
he's
Liddell
your
play.
guy.
I love EJ Liddell.
I know. Your Twitter profile picture is you talking to EJ.
That was like when I was a senior in high school. I enjoyed talking to EJ Liddell. He's a really good interview. But anyway.
That's what I've heard, too. That's cool.
He's a really good guy. But he looked really good against UNC again last night.
He
did? Do you want to give your prediction for the game? We'll be back to do the Michigan one. We can do that because now we're at a point where we can kind of transition into Big Ten power rankings.
I think Maryland wins this game, but I think Illinois plays them close within. I don't think Illinois loses by more than 15 points. So I do think that defensively though Illinois is going to struggle. So I'll go 78. 69 Maryland.
I like that projection. I think Illinois keeps it closer. I think they come out and have a little bit more energy.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that they like being questioned on that kind of stuff in the public.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you Brad Underwood doesn't like that.
God.
No. And I'm sure their practices haven't been the most fun this week. I think Illinois struggles defensively as well. I think Maryland gets above their 80 points per game average. I think Maryland puts up around 85-ish, 87, somewhere in there.
That's that's a lot of points.
It is. I'll say Maryland 86, Illinois 78.
Oof. That means Illinois. That means there's probably not a lot of defense being played in this game because those are two high scores. But I could see it too because when Illinois is on offensively, they can score against so many. I mean, they can score in so many different ways. But the offense has been so out of sync though lately, which kind of puts those offensive numbers down. But I could see that score.
And it's not going to be right. Basketball scores are hard to predict.
It's impossible to predict a basketball score.
It's too hard.
People that bet on like over and unders on basketball are like insane because that has to be so nerve-wracking the entire time.
They're always so close.
Because like any team could just have a bad shooting night and that just like screws you over.
Or a bad half.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's do this Big Ten basketball power rankings. I think this is going to be fun. I texted you while we were doing this.
Yeah.
We were going to preview the Bears-Cowboys game, and we were kind of like, nah, I don't want to do that. And we were like, well, whatever. This should be fun, and I'm intrigued to see your rankings compared to mine because I think they're going to be a little bit different. Based off of what I've watched, and I haven't had a chance to see every Big Ten team play, but from what I've seen, I kind of have a decent like top five.
Okay.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
How about you go first?
Okay, so number one, I have Ohio State. I think that they are...
Okay.
KenPom has them ranked really high. I think that they're the third-ranked team in KenPom, and I think they're going to go higher than that. By the end of the week, they are really talented. They have three really, really good freshmen, especially DJ Carton.
Yeah.
That kid's a stud. They can shoot the lights out, but defensively and passing, they are on another world from the other teams I've watched. And they destroyed North Carolina's starters last night. And it looked like they had the ability to just like flip the switch that Illinois didn't have. So definitely Ohio State is one for me. And I don't know how close it is, but I have them at number one. Now I convinced you. Now you're thinking Ohio State.
You made a pretty good argument, but I think I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to stick with Michigan. Michigan, it just we kind of talked about it on Tuesday's show about just the culture that's at Michigan, the standards that they've set for each other. And then you still have guys like Xavier Simpson and John Teskey and Livers that are just all dynamic players too that returned to a team that made a really deep run last year in March Madness. And they came out and they dominated. They've just been dominating early. They made, I think, did they tie the biggest jump ever for a team going from?
They broke it.
They broke it? Okay.
According to their Twitter, I saw that this week.
Yeah, they broke the record for the highest a team's jump since being unranked to ranked from going to number 4, and I think that's pretty legitimate. Michigan lost some key players, but they returned like the core of what makes Michigan what they were last year. Yeah, Michigan. And so I still think they're the best team in the conference right now.
Okay, so I have Ohio State ahead of them. And the reason I have them ahead of Michigan, and I know that Michigan has 2 really good wins, one over Gonzaga and one over...
who was it?
Why am I blanking on this right now? Either way, they have 2 really good top 10 wins. Ohio State has 2 top 25 wins, and I feel like this early in the season, they kind of just... rankings don't matter that much.
Yeah.
And I feel like coaching really matters a lot right now, and Ohio State beat Villanova 76-51. Another thing, I'm really intrigued to see where Ohio State goes because in a couple weeks, on December 21st, they play Kentucky. So I think that's going to be really, really interesting, and I think I could change my rankings.
Oh, it was UNC they beat. They beat UNC.
What was the score of that game? Do you have the score of it?
They won pretty handily. They had the game in hand, 73-64, Michigan.
Okay, so Ohio State won 74-49. So they've both beaten UNC. I think Ohio State looked a little bit more impressive in that. I have Ohio State ahead.
Ohio State was also at home, though.
No, Ohio State.
Oh, no, you're right. Yeah,
they were on the road. Michigan was neutral site.
Yeah.
I have Ohio State 1. You have Michigan 1.
That's a huge win.
Ohio State really, really impressed me last night.
That's a huge win.
Now to respond, I will put Michigan at number 2 because of their impressive wins and echoing everything you said. And I have a lot of respect for what Juwan Howard has done for Michigan right now. I think he looks like a guy who can be a problem in the Big Ten as a coach. He wants to be there.
Yeah.
There's a reason he is there. He wanted to go there after high school. He was part of the Fab Five. He's been welcomed back there by the fans. Guy's going to be able to recruit the lights out.
And I think he understood what he needed to do there, and that was just not touch or change anything that Beeline did. And just because there was
making his own culture, though.
Making his own culture, but also keeping the culture that Beeline set that established that who Michigan is, what Michigan basketball is.
Yeah.
And then Howard giving a new energy to that culture, I think is what we're seeing so far with this team.
So I have Michigan 2. They're obviously 7-1. But yeah, I have them 2 after their loss in the Big Ten ACC Challenge to Louisville.
Our 1 and 2 are basically just interchangeable. I'm going to go Ohio State because, a win against UNC on the road, that's monstrous for a Big Ten team. Like you said, they have talented freshmen, but they also have a good mixture of veterans like Wesson coming in there too, solidifying their front court. This Ohio State team, coming into the season, I wasn't very high on. I thought Illinois was kind of neck and neck with them.
I didn't think that.
Oh, I
thought Ohio State was arguably the second best team going into the season.
Really?
Going into the season, I could have seen.
I thought Michigan was better than them.
You thought Michigan was better than Ohio State? Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay.
They returned their guys. Obviously,
I questioned the coaching going into the season, but now he's answered all those questions.
Obviously, I thought Michigan State was ahead of them too.
So did you have Michigan State, Maryland, and Michigan?
I think so, yeah.
So I had Michigan State, Ohio State, Maryland.
Okay.
As my top 3.
Gotcha. And then I think I had Ohio State at like 5 or 6, and then Illinois right below them, or like interchangeable.
So you questioned Ohio State's youth.
Yeah, I questioned Ohio State's youth, and I didn't. I was never impressed that much with some of their veteran guys, especially like Wesson, especially since Illinois.
Which Wesson? Because I love Caleb Wesson.
Caleb.
Oh, I think he's good.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying he's good, but he's not like.
He's not elite.
He's not elite, dominant good, and Illinois went on the road and took them down last year.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why I was kind of like about Ohio State, but they're going way above what anyone thought they could achieve. And early, and they're playing like a singular unit too, and I think that's something that's really impressive about a team. I think that has a lot to say about what these veteran guys are doing, coaching wise too, making sure to implement the guys into the culture, into the system, and it seems like everyone's bought in at Ohio State right now, and they're playing just lights out basketball. So I'm going to put them at 2, and I think you can make a huge argument. Like I think all your points about them being 1 are pretty substantial too. I just like Michigan a little bit more.
And that's fair. And like I said, we're in the 3rd week of the season, and the rankings don't really matter right now. But yeah, I have a lot of respect for Chris Holtmann as their head coach too. He's only in his 3rd year, and he's got them ranked in the top 5 going into next.
So after this,
I think this is where it gets. Well,
Maryland's 3. Maryland's going to be 3. Yeah.
Okay, and like we said, we kind of hit on them a lot earlier. Cowan is really impressive.
Jalen Smith's
impressive.
All Big Ten freshman last year.
Yeah, both of those guys are both really impressive. So let's just skip over Maryland at 3. I think 4
and the rest,
5, 6, 7 are all really, really interesting. So who do you have at 4?
4? Oh, man. It's got to be Purdue, right?
I don't have Purdue at 4, no.
After the Virginia win?
I don't have them at 4.
After the Virginia win, a dominant win against arguably the best defense in the country. Virginia, year after year, is one of the best defenses in the country. They constantly hold teams, though, just embarrassing numbers. And Purdue just comes and they just smack them. They just smack them around in the rematch of the Elite Eight, right? It was the Elite Eight last year? That matchup between Virginia
and... Yeah, that sounds right. Or the Sweet 16.
Fun fact, I actually had Purdue winning that game. I thought Purdue was going to make a really deep
I didn't think
run.
Virginia would make it past the Sweet 16.
Oh, really? What?
Because I didn't think they would score enough points, but they proved me wrong.
Yeah, I guess Kyle Guy just decided to go off. But and obviously DeAndre Hunter was awesome. But I'm going to go Purdue because a win over number 5 Virginia at this point in the season, when usually kind of defense reigns supreme at this point in the year, so you kind of give the advantage to a stronger defensive team. Purdue just smacked them around and made them look silly. Of course, it was at home, so you have to kind of put that on Purdue's shoulders that they did have the home advantage. but I still think the way they beat down Virginia, I think that says a lot about where this team is at.
Okay, so at 4, that 4 is difficult for me. I have Michigan State at 4.
Okay.
And that's probably going to raise a lot of questions from people.
So is your number 5 Purdue then, would you say?
I don't know. I'm kind of doing this on the fly. Yes.
Because I think Purdue and Michigan State are at very similar places.
I have Purdue at 5, I guess. I'm considering Indiana there, too, though.
But, yeah,
because Indiana's undefeated. So I have Purdue at 5. I'll put Michigan State at 4, and I know that Michigan State has 3 losses already, but to me, you look at what they have, especially in Cassius Winston and Xavier Tillman, it's hard for me to not think that they're going to figure it out, and I know power rankings are like right now. Their loss to Duke was bad. Their loss to Duke was really, really bad. Their loss to Virginia Tech was also bad. But they handled a good Seton Hall team by 3 on the road. I thought that was impressive. Their loss to Kentucky, I don't really put that much stock into. It was the first game of the year.
Kentucky was ranked higher. Good. They were ranked higher at the time, too.
No, they weren't.
Kentucky was 8, Michigan State was 11.
No, those are current rankings. Michigan State was number 1 to start the year. Remember?
Oh, yeah. Man, I don't know why Google would do that.
Okay, so...
That's right, yeah.
They beat a good Georgia team as well. I have Michigan State a little bit higher. And going out to Maui is always difficult, too. So with the time change, and it's over Thanksgiving break, there's all those extra things going on out there that I don't always put a lot of stock into the preseason tournaments. But I have them at 4.
Okay, I'm going to put them at 5. I mean, Purdue, like I said, I think Purdue and Michigan State are at very similar places at the moment. I think those are 2 veteran teams that made some really great runs last year in March, and they returned a lot of their guys. Lost a couple key guys, but at the same time brought a lot of those guys back. Purdue being more notable, losing Carson Edwards, and Michigan State being able to bring Cassius Winston back for, I think, his 8th or 9th year. Michigan State always has that one guy that feels like he's been there for like 6 or 7 years. I swear to God, Keith Appling played at Michigan State from my 5th grade year onto my senior.
Denzel Valentine.
Yeah, my senior year of high school. Denzel Valentine, the same thing.
Draymond Green.
Nick Ward this time around. I felt like he was there for 6 years. So I think the way Michigan State is built, they're going to be an NCAA tournament, no doubt, and because they have so much veteran talent, they're going to be a problem in the NCAA tournament too. I just think early on they're kind of in the same place with Purdue, except Purdue a little higher because it seems like they have it together a little bit more. The same place, just figuring out what this team quite is, how to just adjust to losing some guys and playing with those new guys. And I think Michigan State's going to be fine, obviously.
Okay, so I'm going to change my 5th. I'm doing this on the fly, like I said. I'm going to go Penn State at 5.
Okay.
I like Lamar Stevens
Always
a lot.
like Lamar Stevens.
I think that they are a very well-coached team. Yeah. Considering the resources that Pat Chambers had, it's hard for Penn State to be consistently good. And credit their athletic department for not putting a lot of pressure on him and firing him right away like a lot of other teams would. They have a win over Syracuse. I know they're not super good. Yeah. Another quality win, in my opinion, over Wake Forest.
The Mississippi loss isn't great.
It's not. You're right. But I trust Lamar Stevens, and I like Glenn Watkins a lot, too.
Yeah, I do like Glenn Watkins.
I think I like them. I like them going forward. They beat a good Georgetown team as well on the road. A better Georgetown team, I guess I should say.
Boy, Georgetown's like going way down, like stock-wise.
I meant better than what they were last year, though.
No, I'm talking about right now in like recruiting. I forget who, but they just
they kicked like 3 guys off their roster.
Yeah, they just had a significant recruit
decommit that happened like today.
Yeah.
Now they could drop like a rock in water over
Penn
the
State?
next week. Yeah, because they play. They go on the road
Ohio
to Ohio
State's
State, and then
be
they host Maryland.
Gut check.
That's rough.
That's
almost as bad as Illinois.
Yeah, going
and
Michigan and then Michigan State.
That's almost as bad. But I'll be intrigued to see how Penn State responds. I know Ken Pom has them in the top 25 too, and I like Lamar Stevens a lot. I think he is a very, very good player.
Okay, I'm gonna go Indiana. Indiana just had
them at 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just had a very impressive win over ranked Florida State team. Indiana. Indiana. So we talk about so many of these Big Ten teams, and so many of these Big Ten teams seem to have some sort of just established culture behind them because there's just always been this.
It's Indiana.
Exactly, it's Indiana basketball. I mean,
The Hoosiers.
The Hoosiers. I mean, I know Indiana loves their Colts, but at the same time, I feel like the Colts and Indiana basketball are almost at the same level.
Do you think Purdue basketball is more paid attention to than the Colts in the state of Indiana?
No.
I feel like it might be close.
It's close, but when
so what's the ranking there? Indiana basketball, Colts, Notre Dame football?
Yes.
And then Purdue basketball?
Yeah.
It's a basketball state, though.
Yeah, but Notre Dame is Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame literally has bought time on ABC for the entire year.
NBC.
Is it NBC?
It's NBC.
It is NBC. You're right.
NBC. Okay, so you have Indiana at 6?
Yeah.
Okay. This one's tough for me, too. I have Purdue at 6, I guess. I don't know. Their loss to Texas is a decent loss, although it was at home. Their 3-point win against VCU. I know VCU is one of the better mid-major schools, especially after their power.
Yeah.
Their
it's also early season college basketball.
Their loss to Florida State to me is interesting. I don't know what to think of Florida State. Florida State beat them by 3 at home at Mackey as well.
Their loss to Florida State?
Yeah, they lost to Florida State 63-60. And I don't know how much stock to put into the Virginia win. They beat them by 29. I don't really feel like they're 29 points better than...
Indiana beat Florida State.
I'm talking Purdue.
Oh, Purdue, my bad.
Yeah, no, you're
okay.
good. I have Purdue over Indiana because of their win over Virginia, but I'm not putting a lot of stock into that because I don't think Virginia is close to as good as they were last year.
I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same story with Virginia every year, right? It's like, Virginia defensively is going to be the best team in the country, but offensively you have...
What are you getting?
What are you getting? In some games, they're going to only drop 40 points against a really cruddy team.
Yeah.
But they're going to hold that cruddy team to a ridiculous 26 points or a low 30, whatever. It's stupid, but it's just Virginia every year.
So I'll put Purdue at 6. I'll go Indiana at 7. Okay. Those are tough for me to do. Like I said, I don't know how much to put into a win over Florida State. Florida State was good last year. People thought they were going to be good again this year, but they've got a couple bad losses already. Yeah. Once again, I'll be intrigued to see what Indiana gets out of their Big Ten games. They go on the road to Wisconsin. That's always a really tough place to play. And then they play Nebraska at home. I want to see them really handle Nebraska,
yeah,
I guess.
You should.
I know Big Ten games are always close, but I would like to see them really handle Nebraska for me to feel good about where I have them ranked or potentially move them ahead of Purdue. So I'll go with Indiana at 7. Who's your 7?
My 7, I'm torn between 2 teams right now, and that's Penn State and Iowa at the moment.
Because you already ranked Purdue and Indiana.
Yeah. I'm going to go Iowa because Iowa has a couple really nice wins so far early on this season. Win over Texas Tech is a really nice win. We saw how much a win over Texas Tech meant to DePaul last night.
Good team.
Texas Tech's a good team. They have a nice win over who was it I just saw? Okay, I guess Texas Tech's their only really nice win, but that was their most recent win too. So I think that's usually a turning point for a team when they have a big win like that at this point in the season. It really kind of shows you the potential where they're at. I think Iowa has a lot of potential with where they are, and so I think just because they have that really quality win against Texas Tech, I want to put them above Penn State. But Penn State's right at, are we at 8 at that point?
I have to do my 8th, so yeah. You're probably on
okay,
8.
So I'll put Penn State at 8 then.
Okay, so 8 is where I also struggle. Because this is where I think it gets really, really hard.
Yeah.
I will also consider, I'm stuck between Iowa and Illinois actually here.
I kind of was too, but
I'm going to go Iowa.
Kind of have to with the Texas Tech win.
Just because of their proven history. And I know that's not what power rankings are supposed to mean, but their win over Texas Tech, the loss to DePaul was 93-78, which is
we know how good DePaul is
not
right
great,
now.
But Paul Reed is really good at DePaul, probably a draft pick. They lost to San Diego State, not great.
Yeah.
But once again, like, they have a marquee win that Illinois doesn't have.
Yeah.
And they've handled their opponents that are below them.
They have a marquee win that they weren't supposed to win.
Correct.
And Illinois should have obviously won their Miami game.
Correct. So I will put Iowa ahead of Illinois, and that means Iowa is at 8 for me.
Okay. And then Illinois will be at 9 for me right now. I think that's
agree.
I think that's pretty disappointing for Illinois at this moment.
Where'd you pick them going into the year?
Illinois?
Yeah. In the Big Ten.
I said they were kind of at the same boat with Ohio State for me. I thought they were kind of at the same level. I think I had Illinois at 6 and Ohio State at like 5, I think.
Okay, I had Illinois topping out at 5, and I thought they would finish 6th, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we all thought Illinois was going to be an upper pack Big Ten team this year. And
Right now they're below average.
to put them at the third worst Big Ten team?
No, we're at 8.
No, we're at
each
9
for us.
9? Okay, I guess that's not.
But after that, it's just a whole bunch of hoopla.
Yeah, it's a lot of crap teams after that, honestly, after that. So, I mean, for Illinois, I mean, the Arizona game was kind of showed the highest potential where this team could be in that first half. But
I still feel like they have more than that.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't saying like they had reached their peak at that point. I'm just saying like it showed the highest amount of potential of saying Illinois can play at a very high level on the road against a talented team. But then the second half was extremely disappointing because you just choked in that second half. The moment became too big for you, which I think for a team that, I mean, Underwood loves going back and forth between saying we're a young team but we're an experienced team, and then going back to when they play bad to saying we're a young team.
I think they're a young, experienced team.
But
if that makes sense, that works, right? Like,
I think
Illinois football the last couple of years was young, but they're experienced.
Yeah, no, it works in some degree,
both.
but I don't know. I think there's like we have to find a fine line between it, but Illinois is, and then the Miami game, extremely disappointing. I mean, obviously the opening game of the year against Nicholls State was very disappointing. It's just
close game to Hawaii for the first half.
Yeah, exactly.
Closer than you would have liked to see at the Grand Canyon.
I think it's been a pretty disappointing start to the year for Illinois so far. Yeah, and so that's what
routed by Arizona by 20, disappointing.
Yeah, and Arizona's a great team, but they're not the way Illinois was playing in that game, and then the drop off so hard. I mean, that's really disappointing. It leaves a really bad taste in your mouth. So yeah, I mean that's why I have Illinois at 9.
I do too. Do you want to do 10, 11, 12, 13, 14?
I mean, we can.
It's just a whole bunch of crap.
I think it's just fun saying that I don't think Rutgers is the worst team in the Big Ten.
I think it's Nebraska.
Yeah, it's definitely Nebraska, I would say.
They had 12 new players.
I know, that's kind of
crazy. Fred Hoiberg.
12 new players, I don't think like a lot of them are that good.
Gets fired by the Bulls. Bulls hire a worse head coach.
He's getting a nice paycheck in Nebraska, though.
Oh, and I think he has the ability to make Nebraska like relevant.
Oh yeah, no, Fred Hoiberg is a great coach.
If he wants to be there for a while, he could make them good. If I'm gonna do a team 10th, I guess I would put Wisconsin.
Yeah, no, I think
because Nate Reavers and who's their short little white guard, makes all those threes.
Yeah,
blonde hair. I don't know.
They're so interchangeable.
They are at Wisconsin. But yeah, so you go through yours real quick. Your top 9.
So I'm gonna go Wisconsin
as 10.
10. Rutgers at no, I'll go Minnesota at 11.
Yeah.
Rutgers at 12. Yeah, I'm gonna put Rutgers at 12. Northwestern at 13, and then Nebraska at 14.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I would echo that.
All right.
100%.
There we go.
So that was good because we had a lot of different teams between 1 through 9.
Yeah.
I don't think we matched on any of them, actually.
No, I don't think we did either.
Besides 9.
We had a lot, besides Illinois at 9, we had a lot of teams that were just like, we could interchange them. It was just personal preference at that point.
That went how I wanted it to go.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
All right, let's do these NFL picks.
I know.
I needed to pull this up, so give me a second.
I'm going to homer so hard, though, on tonight's game. I'm going Bears. I'm going to go Bears for tonight's game against the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are I think the line has the Cowboys to win this game.
I am pulling it up right now. I'm sorry.
But besides that, I think Illinois. We're not talking Illinois anymore. We're talking
the Bears
Bears.
playing Illinois.
I guess that's true. But not Illinois, Champaign.
Yeah, the Bears are +3.
Plus
according
3.
to
I think that's about right too.
According to DraftKings.
So I mean, technically, I'm going to take the Bears on that. Not
cover or to win?
To win.
You think they win? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to homer a little bit. I got my Bears hat on today. I think the Bears are starting to figure out some things offensively. They're also incredibly inconsistent. I think this Bears defense, this might arguably be their biggest test at this point of this season, to where they're at, to stop this running game from this offensive attack from the Cowboys. Because this game honestly can determine who makes the playoffs and who doesn't between these two teams. Which team wants it more? Both teams are at 6-6 at the breaking point or at the midpoints of their season. This game has a lot riding on it. I think probably more for the Cowboys than the Bears at this point in time.
Cowboys have a chance to realistically make the playoffs because of their division.
This might be time. My dad was texting me. He's like, about the Minnesota game on Monday. He's like, this is the point where Minnesota starts dropping off really hard. He said, I'm calling it now. And so if that's the case, the Bears have to take advantage, and they had to start with this Cowboys game, because the rest of the way is you got divisional games against Green Bay and against the Vikings, and then you also have the Chiefs too. So, I mean, if you're the Bears and you want to get into the postseason, I think this is a must-win game, and I'm going to give it to them.
Okay, so I would feel a lot better about this Bears game if Prince Amukamara was playing.
Yeah. I do like Tolliver a little bit, though, but that's a different point.
You're still without Trevathan. Massey's out. I don't know. Devin Smith is out for the Cowboys, though, so that makes me a little
practicing, but he's not going to play.
This game's hard.
It's so hard.
Especially, because Thursday night games are normally, difficult, but I would normally pick the better team to win just because they haven't had very much time to prepare, but each of these times have had a week. I'll pick the Bears because it's at home.
Hey, the Bears.
But yeah, that's kind of difficult for me. All right, let's move to this one. This one's gross. Cincinnati at Cleveland. Cleveland is -7. I'll take them to cover that. It's at Cleveland.
I'll take Cleveland that too. I think Cleveland's starting to figure out some things offensively.
Despite their loss last week to Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
they're going to make the playoffs.
Pittsburgh's a good defense. Yeah, Pittsburgh's definitely making the playoffs. But I think too at the same time, Pittsburgh's they're a good team. They figured out that they need to play Duck Hodges and not Mason Rudolph. Took them way too long to figure that out.
Cost Mason Rudolph a big bruise on his forehead.
Yeah, and then defensively too, Pittsburgh we know is a very good team, but I think Cleveland still is starting. I think they're still starting to find out what works offensively for them. So and Cincinnati's trash. That's really what this game boils down to. So
yeah, I'll take Cleveland.
I'll take Cleveland.
All right, this one is interesting to me. Baltimore travels to Buffalo. Buffalo's got a pretty good defense, but Baltimore is -5.5. I kind of want to take it. I don't put much stock into Baltimore winning against San Francisco by just a field goal because of the weather. I don't really feel like...
I put a lot of stock into that.
No, I don't because of the weather and because... I don't really feel like the 49ers really figured out how to stop Lamar Jackson, right? It was raining. Yeah. You can't throw the ball as well. You don't have as good traction running the ball. And the 49ers also have a very, very good defensive line.
Well, the 49 both of those offenses were basically Ravens were 1, 49ers were 2 in a lot of categories, especially rushing. 49ers were second best rushing team in the NFL that game. I think they actually outrushed the Ravens that game too, I want to say.
They might have.
So I put a lot of stock in that win for the Ravens. Because you're playing. Oh no, you're playing the best NFC team.
I'm saying I don't put stock into the way that Ravens offense performed compared to what it had been.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense, the way
you're also facing the number one defense,
and the Pats and all of those. I think that's the real Ravens. I don't think they're that good, but I think they're somewhere.
But you were also playing the best defense in the NFL at that point in time too.
Yeah, that's true. You got Baltimore -5.5 or no?
I'm hopping on the Buffalo train.
You think they win?
I love Josh Allen. I'm a big Josh Allen fan. This Buffalo defense, especially at home, is always on another level, and I think it'd just be really fun to see Buffalo win. I guess I have to say I think the Ravens would win this game, but I want to see Buffalo win this game. But
so who's your pick?
Ravens, fine, Ravens.
To cover? It's 5.5.
Yeah, they cover. Because I think Buffalo is a very good team at this point in time.
Carolina travels to Atlanta. Atlanta looked pretty good on Thanksgiving against the Saints.
I'm going to go Atlanta on that.
Yeah, Atlanta's -3.
Carolina's
I'll
just.
take that.
I mean, Ron Rivera just got fired. That organization or that team's going to be all out. I mean, all out of whack.
Sorts,
yeah.
All right, Washington travels to Green Bay. Green Bay is -12.5.
Yeah, Green Bay.
Yeah, it's at Green Bay. It'll be cold, I'm assuming. I'll take it. Denver travels to Houston to take on the Texans. Houston is -9.5. I'll take Houston to win. Don't know if they cover. I wouldn't bet that game.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Because Denver, I mean...
Denver still has a decent defense.
Yeah, decent defense. And, I mean, they still have a really good rushing attack in Phillip Lindsay and... who's their other guy? Is it Royce Freeman?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. But, I mean, I'm going to take Houston to win that game.
Detroit travels to Minnesota. Minnesota is -12.5. Minnesota wins. They don't cover.
Yeah, I mean, as a Bears fan, I need Detroit to win this game really bad. But with Stafford being out, that doesn't really help. But I feel like Stafford's close to coming back, though, isn't he?
I don't know. He fractured 2 vertebrae.
Did he get put on IR?
I don't know. I just know he fractured 2 vertebrae.
Okay, I mean, yeah, Minnesota's going to win this game, though.
Yeah. San Francisco travels to New Orleans. Second game of a really tough stretch for the 49ers. New Orleans is -2.5.
The Ravens and the Niners just, like, did not get any breaks after playing arguably a Super Bowl preview last week.
Yeah, and they play a really good team again. Oh, no. I forget where I saw the stat. Maybe it wasn't true.
I'm going to go Saints for that game. I mean, Saints in the Superdome is just always another animal.
That's what it was. The 49ers played the Packers, Ravens, and will play the Saints in 3 games in a row. And it's the toughest 3-game stretch in terms of opponent winning percentage in NFL history at the time.
Oh, wow.
That they will play those 3 teams. This game's tough. I'll take New Orleans at home to cover just because it's at home and I trust Breeze, and it ain't easy being breezy.
God damn it.
That's what we always say. That's what my buddy and I always say because we always drafted Breeze with our fantasy teams. Miami travels to New York for the Jets.
I'm going to take Miami.
-5.5.
I'm taking Miami on that. I mean, the Jets are bad. The Jets are a bad football team, and that's really disappointing because I really thought the Jets were going to take I thought the Jets were going to take a step this year with Sam Darnold in year 2 and with I thought was a good defense, but they're just the Jets. So I mean, I'm going Miami, which is kind of embarrassing for the Jets, I think, at this point in time.
Yeah, you convinced me. I'll take Miami. I wouldn't touch that game if I was actually putting money on it.
Oh my gosh, no. I'm not even going to watch that game, let alone put money on it.
It might be on Red Zone every now and then. Indianapolis travels to Tampa Bay. Interesting quote today from Bruce Arians saying he's not sure what the future holds with Jameis Winston. I'll take...
Kind of have to call him out. He's been terrible.
Indianapolis is +3, but I'm going to take him to win.
Yeah, I'm going to take Indy to win by more than +3.
I agree. Chargers travel to Jacksonville. Ooh.
Gardner Minshew's back.
Chargers are -3.
I'm going to go... The Chargers find a new way to lose every week, so I'm going to take Jacksonville.
I'll take Jacksonville as well. Chargers seem to lose unless they're playing an NFC North team. I feel like.
That's actually so true.
Kansas City travels to New England for the Patriots. Wow, this is always a fun matchup. Rematch of the AFC Championship game. New England is -3.
I'm going to take the Patriots because I think the Patriots
are pissed off.
Yeah, pissed off, and I think their defense is taking a next step while it seems like Kansas City's defense is taking an even farther step back. And offensively, Kansas City isn't putting up ridiculous numbers like they were last year, so I don't think, especially against a very improved Patriots defense, I don't think they're gonna have a shootout like they did last year, which was an awesome game to watch.
Was it amazing? I'm
gonna take the Patriots.
It's in Foxborough. I'll take the Pats.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh against the Arizona Cardinals. Pittsburgh -2.5 at Arizona. I'll take Pittsburgh.
I'll take Pittsburgh, but I would not touch this game.
Yeah, neither would I. Next one up, Tennessee travels to Oakland. Oakland is +2.5.
This is kind of
not touch this.
This
game.
is a big game for the Tennessee Titans right now.
Big game for both teams.
Yeah, because Tennessee's really trying to get an AFC wildcard spot at the moment. They're 5-1 since Tannehill took over as a starter.
Trying to do the same.
Exactly, yeah. So this is kind of a huge game for both of those teams. I'm going to take Tennessee. I want to keep. I think we need a new catchphrase for this Ryan Tannehill winning streak. But whatever I figure out, eventually I think I will.
That's your homework. Come on Tuesday.
Yeah, with a time. If they win this game, then I'll have something Tuesday.
The hill's been climbed.
Something like that.
All right, next one up is Seattle at LA Rams. The Rams are somehow -1. Pound that for Seattle.
Yeah, I'm taking Seattle.
Last time I saw a -1 line, the Ravens won by about 600.
I'm taking Seattle all day on that.
Before we left for Thanksgiving, the Rams were +1 against the Ravens, and I said smash that.
That was stupid. That was just a stupid line.
It ended up being -3.5 for the Ravens going into the game on Monday night, and I sort of smashed it.
That was a
smash this game too.
That was
the Rams are not good.
They're not good. They're just not good.
They're not good. This one's also gross. Sunday night, Giants at Philly. The return of Eli Manning.
That's a Sunday night game?
Yeah. Markets, man.
I guess. I'm not watching that game. I'm turning on a garbage NBA game instead.
That will be that is December 8th. You'll be figuring out where you're going to be buying your plane ticket to.
Oh yeah, I can't
Around that time,
I can't flip a plane ticket.
So you driving to San Francisco or New York?
No, I just can't go. If it's Detroit,
ask your parents for a ticket. Ask your parents for Christmas.
No.
What, you have other things you want?
Maybe.
All right. I feel like that's a worthy experience for you.
It could be, but it's at the same. I just also don't like asking for money.
Well, you're not asking for money. You're asking for
a plane ticket's money.
A plane ticket to cover a game.
And then hotel fees.
Say you'll cover the hotel.
Maybe. I don't know.
Split the hotel with Isaac and Gavin or whoever else is going.
I don't think I'm pretty sure I can't. I know I can't flip it.
Yeah, I get you. I couldn't flip it right now either. That's why I'm not even considering going, no matter where.
Plus, I have to save money for when I'm out of college, and I have to actually figure out where to live.
Journalists don't get paid enough. Unless you're Stephen A. Smith. This is the Monday night game, by the way, Giants at Philly.
Oh, that's a Monday night game? Okay.
The Sunday night game is Seattle at LA. God, those are awful. Those are two really bad.
I think it's always fun watching the Rams get killed on national television.
I can get on that 100%.
I think that's always fun.
Why do you like that so much?
Because, ever since the Bears...
you don't like what they did to St. Louis?
No, I don't care about that. Ever since the Bears-Rams game last year, and the Bears just, dominated that game, I was like, yeah, screw you, Rams. Because everyone was on the Sean McVay train for the longest time.
Sean McVay, not McAvee.
McAvee?
What? It's Sean McVay.
No, I thought it was an E instead of an A.
No, Sean McVay. Pat McAfee. You're just really...
No, that's not what I meant by that.
That's how you said it, though.
It sounded kind of like that. Sean McAvay.
No, Sean McVay.
McVay? Oh, my gosh.
McDonald's, McVay.
I'm terrible with names. McVay. Sean McVay.
There we go.
When everyone was on that bandwagon of, you remember the meme of,
I'm remembering everything?
Well, no, I was going to say the meme of, any coach getting hired because, he just knew Sean McVay. I just didn't like the Rams, so I like the Rams getting killed on national television.
All right, that didn't get. We still didn't get our Monday night picks. Giants at Philly.
Philly, I guess.
I'll take Philly, but they ain't covering a 9.5 point spread.
No, gosh, no.
God, Philly's awful.
Those are some brutal primetime games.
I feel bad for our friend Austin Berkland, saying they were the best team in the NFC, and then they're awful. They're just awful.
Yeah, they are pretty bad. Are they worse than the Bears, though? That's the question. Exactly, right? That's the thing.
I would like to see them play again.
Huh? That's true.
All right, that's all the time we have. Eric, it's going to be a busy weekend. We're going to have a bowl game to talk about.
We will.
Tuesday, where we're going, who we're playing.
Illinois in the Pinstripe Bowl, I'm calling it.
I think they go to Redbox.
Okay.
ESPN projected Redbox, 24/7 projected Redbox, and CBS all projected Redbox yesterday.
Fair enough. I did not check yesterday because I
just saw a couple tweets.
I am not as invested in playing the gambling game of figuring out which bowl game they're going to that a lot of people are.
I'm not either, but I just saw a couple tweets.
No, it's just fans that are. Fans are always.
Fans act like they're going to the game no matter what. And I'm like, you have no idea how expensive it is to go to a bowl game.
Illinois fans are crazy though. They'll follow Like, if they're invested in a team, they'll follow them anywhere. They went to Italy over the summer, for gosh sakes. Like, they had a really good crowd at Italy this summer for that tour.
All right. Maybe I'll agree with you. All right.
Maybe. It does.
Either way, next week we're going to have a lot to talk about. Illinois, Maryland's on Saturday. We're either going to be really mad again on Tuesday. We're going to be able to cheer ourselves up with a bowl game. And then I think we're going to be able to talk about Michigan a little bit because I think that's Thursday?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's Thursday. So we're going to have a good show next Tuesday. Gabby might be back. Hopefully she is. Thank you for watching Illini Drive. Bear down.
Bear down.